Focusing on the lives, experiences, and viewpoints of motherlode women, the show features a rotating cast of 4 women of all ages and from all walks of life. Quick, upbeat, and fast-paced with a variety of topics, this 1-hour show will be aired live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Tune in, it's just between us.
Good morning. We have a great show for you today. We've got perky, we've got adorable, we've got cute. But enough about me. Let's talk about Roberta and Martha. I'm Susie from Volcano.
And I'm Roberta from Pioneer.
Can you tell I have not had decaf coffee and I'm drinking the real deal?
Yeah, we need you another one.
Good morning, and you are?
Hello,
Did you already
I'm here.
said you already
Yes,
said
I'm Roberta
I'm
from
not
Pioneer.
awake. Good morning, Amador County. This
There
is
you
Martha.
go. Hey, we're going to pick 2 topics and we're going to give it to you with
Okay,
both
can you
barrels
tell I
today.
was running?
Yes, I'm out of breath for you.
Roll the dice,
and
girl.
what's the first?
And I sound like Froggy from the Little Rascals because I've
Here we
had
go.
a congestion all week. So
and what's the
first
first
2.
topic?
Favorite foods. Okay.
Cool. Number 2.
Parenting.
oh boy.
Okay. Number 2 again.
Okay. Second one is parenting. So the first one on favorite foods is what food did you dislike when you were younger, but now love it? Oh, I know what that
Ooh,
is.
that's
Okay.
easy.
And on parenting, are parents more involved with their kids today than they were when we were parenting them?
Well, you know, we're going to take a very, very short break. And before we do that, I want to let you know we've got Donovan's in the house with us this morning.
Yay.
Hey, Donovan!
And we're going to be right back and discuss these 2 topics with you.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.
We're ready to rock and roll, Roberta.
We're going to rock and roll with food, our favorite
Okay.
foods this morning. What food did you dislike when you were younger that you love now?
Oh, spinach and like chard and stuff. And now I love it, especially when you fry it up with a little garlic and onion. Oh,
I
it's
tell
good.
you what, I hate it.
What? Well, you were raised in Mexico, so I'm sure it's going to be a lot different than.
Oatmeal with
Oatmeal?
no sugar. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's
Oh.
like here, eat this because it'll fill your stomach.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then you eat it and you just like. Ugh.
And put a little cinnamon on
This
it.
is ball.
Well, no, then
You
there's
got nothing on
Nothing.
it.
You just
Oatmeal?
eat
and
it.
it was probably
Just
made with water too, so
Yes.
there's just no
Yeah.
no flavor.
no flavor.
And now I love it.
Yeah.
But don't you
Because I
find the
make
older
it-
you get, your taste changes?
No, I make a change on my food and I put things that I like.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also
You
how
know,
you cook it.
I
I
put
think that's
raisins. I put
Oh, yeah.
brown sugar.
Little
and
cinnamon.
a little bit of
It's
cream.
good. Try a little cinnamon. It's dynamite.
I cook mine with milk. So
Yeah.
I like it both ways, but
yeah,
yeah.
But
I add the
but
milk usually
oatmeal
afterwards.
with
but
nothing.
See, I like cream of wheat. That's
my
favorite.
daughter, my stepdaughter, her mom, if she wouldn't eat her oatmeal in the morning, would just leave it there, and she'd have to eat it for lunch. And if she didn't eat it for lunch, she'd
Oh,
have to-
that's
So
terrible.
then it would be cold and all
Oh, that's
coagulated.
awful. You know
But
what?
you know
She's
what?
She was like,
That's bad.
I know.
But that's the way it was.
Yeah.
That really, really, really. People probably say, "Yeah, right."
No,
No,
it
it
was.
really was.
No,
It
our
really
parents,
was.
our parents were like that with us.
It's
That's
like-
that's very, very
It's
true.
like we
but
weren't supposed to waste anything.
Anything.
Right.
I mean, if they serve you a plate,
Right.
you know.
well,
It
things
was coming out of the
thi-
Depression,
Things,
and
things were
that's
different
the
in
big
those days, and they
difference.
were depression babies, and we have to understand food was scarce. What about you? What do you?
Brussels sprouts. I hated them. I mean,
Oh,
the
I like
smell
them.
of them
Yeah, when they
cooking
stink.
was just disgusting. It was like, oh God, I think I'm going to barf. But now I cook them. You were talking about frying up
Yeah.
the spinach. Well, I do same thing. I like the garlic olive oil, and then I
Right.
add extra garlic.
Add a little bacon.
Actually, I prefer it even. I like it
Mushrooms?
both way.
Oh, it's good.
But then you put them in, and they crisp up, and
Yeah.
the little
They're
leaves
good.
fall off.
They're very
we have a
good.
good friend who
No?
same thing couldn't stand Brussels sprouts, but he was over for dinner, and I said, "Well, sorry, that's what we're having for dinner."
Oh.
He goes, "Okay, I'll try one."
Yeah.
He
And
liked them.
he likes them. In fact,
Yeah.
I got an email from him the other day. Hey, I had Berta's Brussels sprouts tonight for dinner, so he actually cooked them up himself. So.
Oh,
You know, it makes
cool.
a difference.
Now, is
how
there
you
one food you won't eat?
cook. Oh yeah,
Go ahead.
lima beans.
Oh, I like
Really?
lima
Oh
beans.
God, I cannot
Well, that's-
stand lima beans.
There's one food that I will not cook. Menudo.
Menudo. Yeah, I know. Oh, my grandmother used to make tripe for him in a
Oh,
stew.
yeah.
It's like eating a sponge.
But you know, when you
It
eat
is
it,
eating a
Yeah.
sponge.
when you eat it, it's not bad.
No,
you
it's
know,
cooking
but
it.
it's
It stinks.
cooking
Smell
it.
of
The
it.
smell is like, oh.
See,
Lord,
now
take me out
I
of
agree
here.
with you. I won't eat parts, liver, kidneys, stuff like that, and I will not
My mom
eat
used
veal
to make soups
because of the way that
with
they
all
treat
that
the animals.
stuff, you know, because she used to sell chicken. She used
Sure.
to kill them, and
Sure.
we used to dip them
Clean
in the
'em.
hot water, clean them up, and clean them, and
Yeah.
all the inside. She would make soups out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we were dirt poor. When I say dirt poor,
Our family,
You know.
was right when they came from Italy. My father, I think, was the first one born in the United States. My aunt and uncle were born over in Italy, but when they came from Italy, and then my mother was born here after they landed, and it was tough. They had, they had the chickens. They would use the eggs, and things were tough. But
Yeah.
they used to deliver milk to the house. Remember that?
Absolutely. Well, my mom lived on a chicken ranch. I mean,
Oh,
they
okay, so
moved
you know.
out of San Francisco. My grandfather got sick, so they had to move to the country,
Mm-hmm.
and they went up. They were up in the Sonoma area. Nothing at that time, right?
Right,
But it was just
beautiful.
a little. They raised chickens and
You know,
they
I
killed
didn't
them
see
and
anything-
did all the same
I
things.
did not see anything wrong with that back
No,
then. You know, that
no.
was our lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Well, how do you
know,
think they
that's
get
how-
to the grocery stores?
They didn't
They
have,
you know.
all my grandparents, they all had gardens. They grew everything that they ate except for like meat or whatever, but that was it. It was poverty and it was depression, and kids don't understand today. Like a lot of them complain, we don't have enough places to go up here to eat. We never had anything,
place to
and,
go.
and
We
grocery
didn't-
stores were closed on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it was different. Anyway, we got to move on.
Oh, but we could have more to say on that
Oh,
one.
yes,
Okay,
that was a good one.
parenting. It was a good one. Are parents more involved with their kids today than they were when we were parenting them?
I say yes. I think so, and I'll tell you the reason why I think so. Is because we have more sports, we have more activities, both mom and dad have to work, and I think that parents want to be involved more because they're working all week long, and they want to see their children excel in all of these different things. My kids didn't have the sports like they do today, and I think parents, I think our children, I think that they're righteous parents. I think they're wonderful parents. I think that they have more of I'm not going to say friendship because it's like
You don't want to necessarily have.
because like my son-in-law says, yeah, I'm your friend, but I'm your dad first.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very understanding, and he's a good dad. And I've seen my kids meet in the store at Safeway at a parking lot and switch kids and go off and do different things. So I do think parents are off and running, and I think that they do a great job today. Are you okay?
I just tasted your coffee.
I know, a little strong.
I thought you were going to
Just a
cry
little
about what
strong.
she was
I'm
saying.
sorry.
Oh, no. It's like,
Oh, that'll make you strong all day. But what do you think? Because see, you were raised very, very strict.
I think there's more balance.
Yeah, that's
For
the
me,
word I'm using.
my dad was, because he worked, but mom was at home, at
So
least
he
in
was
our
the-
family. But he was the fun one.
That's exactly it.
And when dad was home, then he would play with us and
Right.
tell stories and be fun.
My dad
but
was
mom
not
was
involved because he worked 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And my mother was a disciplinarian and everything. But of course, now you were raised differently, a little different. But your children now, do they you see that they parent a lot different than you did?
what's a timeout, for God's sakes?
Yeah. I like the old-fashioned, I'm going to hit you with the wooden
I'm going to
spoon.
give you a timeout. One time I told my son, what the hell is a timeout?
My daughter has a little, it's so
like,
cute,
oh
a little
my God.
stool that says timeout, and it's in the corner, so
Oh.
the boys have to, if they get timeout, they have to go sit on the little stool
See,
in the corner.
with
And
me-
if they're really bad, they have to put their face to the wall.
No, with me it was like,
No, it was a slap.
when we
Yeah,
get home,
yeah.
you're going to get it.
Oh, let me
Trust
tell you.
me.
One
And-
time I
mean,
took my grandson
one
to
look.
Walmart.
That's all
They were
it
here?
take. That's all it took. One
You
look for my
betcha.
kids.
You
And
betcha.
They knew they weren't going to get away with it.
Yeah,
you
my
know.
grandson, we were here at Walmart. He was little, and he was going through that stage.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I want to
One
go.
of those
I want to
stages.
go with Noni. Okay, I put you in the cart. And I said, you see that room over there, that dressing room? Uh-huh. You give me any problems, I'll take you in there, I'll work you over. Now, I've never laid a hand on my grandkids, except one time Courtney. But
His eyes
but he
probably
knew.
popped open.
And I said, and you know what, if you're good, I'll let you pick out whatever you want. Okay, Noni. And he was, of course, I had to bribe him, which is wrong. But
But it works.
but you know
Most of
what
the
I
time.
see with my daughter, she and her daughter are they're very close and the whole thing, but mommy is mommy. Where I never had that. I
You
never.
know, when I was younger, I used to tell myself, I am going to raise my children totally different than my mother raised me. So now my children are raising their children totally different than the way I raised them, and I don't blame them. You know, every generation has their
Shifts a
own
little bit,
way.
yeah.
Yes, you know, and the only thing is that I make comments is like,
Time out, yeah.
what's a timeout? Well, the first time he told me,
Yeah.
he told Nathan, you're going to get a timeout, Nathan. And, you know, my kids talk to their children.
Yeah.
Me, he's like, you better go clean your room or else, you know. I
Yeah.
didn't know any better. And I'm learning now from my kids. They are teaching me how I should have been as a parent. Younger,
But
you
they
know,
turned out pretty well,
They
didn't
turned
they?
out pretty
Yeah.
good because
Yeah.
they were threatened.
No, but see, that's the thing too. There's not necessarily just one way to do it.
Right, right.
The critical factor in all of it is the love underneath.
Every
Because
child
if they
is
really
different
know,
too.
if they really
Yes,
know that
that
the
you
love
love
is
them.
there,
Yes.
But see, Martha and I were raised different. There wasn't that mother-daughter talk or whatever.
Mine
No.
My mother's motto was this: I brought you into this world. I can take you out. And okay, Ma.
my mom specifically, because I was always, why aren't you more like my, girlfriend's moms?
Yeah.
I am not your friend.
No,
I am
that's
your mother,
exactly it.
and that's exact. I mean,
But
she
mine was
German,
extreme.
and she was very.
Mine was extreme. There wasn't that lovey, touchy-feely, and
See,
that.
on my part is I was the mother. My mother
That's
was
right.
always working.
Right.
You know, I was the mother to all my brothers and
brothers.
sisters because I was the oldest.
Right.
So, I never had the lovey, cuddly, kissy, mommy, daughter.
No, I didn't either.
And I don't want to talk about it.
No, I know where you're coming from. You and I were raised the same way. Anyway, we are going to pick 2 new topics, ladies.
Okay, so here's parenting. Let me get those over. How about 2 more? Here we go. Meeting the family.
Oh, boy.
Number 6.
6 with an
How do
I.
you say that? Sex. Do you feel that being older, it is easier to meet new people and sometimes exciting knowing you will be introduced to someone new?
And the next topic before my
It's
mind.
a
It's
free-for-all.
free-for-all. So we've got that going. We're going to take a very, very short break, and we're going to catch you on the flip side of 2.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.
Welcome back to Just Between Us, and we are going to be talking about meeting the family in our first free-for-all. So, Roberta, meeting the family.
Meeting the family. Do you feel that being older, it is easier to meet new people and sometimes exciting knowing you will be introduced to someone new?
I think it depends on each person because some people are very shy. Some people are very like, ooh, I don't want people to meet me. What are they going to think about me? Me, I just go, hi, how are you?
Right.
My name is Martha.
Yeah.
How you doing? What do you do for a living?
But it's part of your personality. It's
I
also your
guess.
whole life because
Yeah.
of the restaurant.
But doesn't
You-
that come with maturity too? That when you mature, it's easier for you.
Yeah,
to
because I
when I
was
was young,
younger,
I couldn't.
yeah.
I couldn't even go
I
up to
was
somebody
very
and say,
shy.
I was-
"Oh, I was terrible.
Yeah.
I was terrible."
I would never raise my hand in school. I was afraid
I
to
know.
meet new people.
I
Inside, I wanted to, but
Right.
it
Yes.
couldn't come out of my
When I
mouth.
went to school, I remember, because I knew the answer or something, and I would be doing embarrassed that it would be the wrong answer, and
Exactly.
everybody would make fun
Laugh,
of me or
yeah.
something. It's like now it's like I want to make people laugh. That's why I say dumb things all the time.
No, you don't. But I find that even kids today are more social. My little grandson, he goes up to people and he'll automatically put his hand out and shake their hand. He'll say, "Hi, I'm John Kelly." you know, and I mean, he has no shame on his face. He'll introduce himself to anybody, and I mean, it's kind of cute, you know, but his father and mother have taught him that you have to have manners when you talk to people, and you need to introduce yourself so
I
they know
love
who you
that.
are.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so important to have manners.
Yeah, both the kids are like that. Courtney
Yeah.
will do the same thing. She'll say, "Hi, I'm Courtney Kelly, and you know, nice to meet you." And I think it's important. I think it reflects not only on their parents, but it reflects on everything around them and the people around them. It gives them confidence.
But I
Yeah.
think definitely it is better when you get older.
Yes.
You're more confident. You know,
I think you're more confident, and I also think you don't quite care as much.
No,
You know,
I
you don't care
want
how
to
they
press.
respond to you.
Don't
like
care.
Exactly. If they don't like you, or if you don't like them, it's like
Yeah.
not such a big deal as it was when we were little. You meet someone. I've got a tickle in my throat. Excuse me.
That's all right. We'll go ahead until you're ready. But I do feel that today, I think because children have been involved at an earlier age, like preschool and different places, they've been exposed,
Socialized more,
to-
yeah.
and
They
yes,
socialize a lot better,
and
yes.
socializing becomes a little bit easier. Where with us, we went from staying at home with mom until we were 5 years old, shoved into the classroom, and it was like,
I wonder if it's
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
also maybe since you're young, you learn to take control. Like me, I'm the oldest. You know, I had to learn to take control since very early in life, and now that I'm older, it's like, dang, you know, it's like I have to do things my way.
right.
You know, and
Well, we're set in our way.
And is that what it is because we're old?
Yeah.
They're-
It's stubborn.
Well, a lot of people
That's
that come
you.
That's me.
stubborn.
I'm stubborn. I'm set in my ways. I'm stubborn, and
You
I
know, it's-
And proud of it.
and yeah, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That I'm very flexible that way. You know, I do listen to people.
Oh, I
if
do too.
somebody has a suggestion, you know, at least I try it. If I don't like it, I do it my way. You know,
Yeah.
that's just the way I am.
But I like to hear other people. I like to hear their suggestions, and I like to hear what they have to say. And you know, because you can always, whether you believe it or not, you can always learn something by listening.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's the most important part of communication is listening.
For me, you know, one of my values, if you will, is continuous learning. I just
Right.
think we always need to.
Oh,
if we
you
aren't
never stop
taking
learning.
things in and learning about ourselves, what we could do better, or about each other, or about the world, whatever it is, then
And
what's
haven't
the
you
point?
both noticed that when you meet somebody that has stopped at a certain era or a certain age, it's that they can't move on.
No, they're
They're just set in like the 80s or the 90s, and they're not going to come up to today's standards. They're not going to listen to what other people have to say. They're set, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's the difference. I mean, it's one thing to be, I mean, you were teasing about being stubborn or whatever,
Yeah.
but we have things that we're committed to within our own values,
Right.
and that means you're just not going to change those things.
No, there's certain things I
But-
won't change.
But listening and learning and adapting, you don't have to adapt everything, but to listen to it and to say, okay, I may not agree with it, but I kind of get where you're coming from, or for you
and
it
I
works, but it
respect
wouldn't.
and I respect the way that you
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
But
Yes.
one thing is, I don't like people forcing things on me.
No.
You.
People or the government?
No.
Sorry.
No.
Well, let's not wreck the
I won't go
government
there,
because
but-
then we'll have a whole conversation and we will not stop
No,
talking.
but it is that
You
sense
know.
of forcing. whether
Yes.
it's-
Yes, and that's
and
wrong.
that's the part
That's
that
wrong.
why it makes
No,
it difficult.
I respect somebody even if they disagree with me, and whatever they have to say, I
Really, Susie?
yeah, well, I call them names behind their back, but that's just me, you know, or under my breath. But I think that we have a right to listen, but we also have a right to our freedom of speech, and whether I agree or disagree with you, if you don't respect what I have to say, that's fine with me. But that's the world today.
And all
So-
the people that you bury behind your house,
Yeah,
then
really. Yeah, yeah. All right, time
Oh,
to move
okay.
on.
We'll leave
let's
that
talk about
family
something else.
behind.
Yeah.
Leave that family values behind, and we'll move on to our first
Actually,
free-for-all.
yeah, this will kind of lead right in.
Okay.
Because our first free-for-all is going to be about being PC, politically correct.
Right, which,
I thought you were talking about computers.
Too much or not?
no, I'm not leaving
You
you
can
off
talk
the hook.
about that if you want to.
I'm not leaving you off the hook. Do you think, Martha, that we're too politically correct today?
I try not to think.
Oh.
You know, it's like I say whatever I feel in my heart that that's correct for me. And if somebody doesn't like it, I'm sorry. You know, you believe the way that you want to believe. I'll believe the way that I want to believe. I will fight what I think is right.
Yeah.
You know, I fight against violence, you know, domestic violence. I fight against the American Disability Act. I fight, you know, of all the things what I believe is right for me
Right.
to be able to help somebody. But the politically correct.
Let me
You know,
throw out an
it's
example
just,
of politically correct. There's a show. What is it? Orange is the New Black. It's a prison show. Okay, about women. Juliana Hough went to a Halloween party dressed as one of the main characters, who is an African American woman. Okay, and people, they ripped her apart. How dare you? Now Nick Cannon came out the other day in whiteface, and some people got angry. I am not offended when somebody does something like that. I think that we are too touchy-feely. And he's making a new album called something about white people music. Look, we have white people, we have black people, we have brown people, we have red, we have people of all color that make up the United States. Why is it that when I grew up, even if we made like little cute jokes, when people tell me an Italian joke, I am not offended.
Yeah,
I
I
am
know.
totally not offended. And why is it that people have gone since we've gone so overboard, there's been more blasted problems in
Those,
racial,
Susie,
in racial.
there
I think
are some that they do it in a manner.
I don't
that
like
is-
them
that-
using certain words
you know,
when they
well,
do
when-
that.
Absolutely.
You know, when they are offending somebody.
Right.
That's the
That's
part.
wrong.
You know, if
That's
somebody
wrong.
throws a joke, and I even say little jokes about
Sure.
Mexican people. You know, I'm Mexican. It's not like, as long as it's not offensive.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what aggravates me when they use offensive words
Right.
to do it. But you know, to me, it's just funny. But when somebody does it maliciously, and you know
And
they
that's,
are,
that's where I think it becomes difficult, because I agree. I think we've gone too politically correct, and it's like you can't say anything. I think there's a difference between being able to joke around or, you know,
Right,
make
right.
fun in a gentle way versus maliciousness.
Correct.
And also, you know, hatred. You know, there
Right,
is something
right.
called hate crimes
Right.
or all of that.
And we
that's
know, and the
appropriate.
thing is,
But-
is that we know that there are racists out there. We know that there's people out there with prejudice. But let's not forget, they're in all walks of life. It's just not, let's just not put it towards one group of
No,
people.
it's
And
everybody.
I think that it's personal responsibility what comes out of your mouth. And I think that's the most important thing.
you know, to me, all of us are the same human race. You know,
You betcha.
To me, it's like, I don't care what color you are. If you treat me nice, I'm going to treat you nice. If you treat me mean, I'm going to treat you mean. You know, because I'm not going to stand up and let you bully me or treat
Right.
me like
You're not gonna
garbage,
stand
because
for it.
I'm
No,
not.
no,
Maybe I'm
absolutely
not
not.
highly educated in school. I'm highly educated in life.
There you go.
Because I have been through more than
Most people
have,
don't even know.
You know,
Right.
and I just, sometimes, you know, I don't judge people because you never know what other people have gone through.
Oh, so you don't know what you're missing.
So,
You don't know their
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's very, very true. Unfortunately, today we have gone from one extreme to another, and in years past, when Red Fox, Richard Pryor,
oh my God.
Yeah, they were hilarious.
Eddie Murphy, half of their audience was white. He'd make fun of white, and nobody was offended.
No, it was
And
hilarious.
vice versa. Look at look at Don Rickles.
Oh my God, Don Rickles. Oh my
I mean,
God.
it was hilarious the way he did
I
things.
could tell you
Okay,
some,
roll
All
the
right,
dice.
so
Roll the
next
dice.
two.
some of the jokes that Don Rickles said. Okay, in the top.
5, keeping up with the times. Do you feel you can hold your own when talking about world affairs? I know she can.
Sometimes no. And then we have our next free for all.
And the next free-for-all.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're going to take a very, very short break, and we will be right back.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.
Welcome back to Just Between Us. I'm Susie from Volcano.
Roberta from Pioneer.
Is that time again to introduce herself?
Reintroduce
I'm
Martha.
from my own in Jackson.
That a girl.
And we're going to talk, first of all, about keeping up with the times.
Okay.
Do you feel you can hold your own when talking about world affairs?
Yes.
I have an example, though,
No.
where I felt totally inept. I was an exchange student to Spain when I was 18.
Uh-huh.
Exciting.
And I was a really good student, straight A student, top of my class, well,
I
in the
don't
top
doubt
10.
it. I don't doubt it for a second.
So I thought I was pretty smart. I felt pretty good about myself, and I went to Spain. I was totally ignorant in comparison to the kids over there. They knew more about the United States, about our government, about who was in office and all of that than I did. It was so humbling. It was an amazing experience to me. So when you talk about world affairs, I felt like such a little
I only went to
in
school
comparison.
to 6th grade because that's what the requirement was in Mexico in my time. And by the 6th grade, you're already ready to go to college, you know, because they
comparison,
they
yeah.
shove so much in your brain and they tell you, if you don't study, we're going to kick you out because there's more kids waiting to get in,
yeah.
And so you have to study. I mean, I hear kids, oh, they give them a week for homework. I said, what? You have a whole week to finish your homework? Me, it was like half a book every day, and you had to finish it.
I think the difference is you got to go to school.
Yeah.
It was a privilege to go to school,
Right.
where
Right.
we don't always realize that it's more here. Oh, I have to go to
Yeah.
school.
No,
It
you'd be
was
surprised.
a privilege.
It was
Well,
privilege.
And
look
they
in the middle.
teach you.
Look in the Middle East.
And they
Yeah.
hit you with the ruler,
There you go.
and you
Yeah.
listen to the teacher
You
because
better
you
believe
never
it.
want to get hit in the hands with the ruler ever again.
But you know,
Those nuns can really whack you.
Do
with
some
the-
damage.
Some of them, they could have gone 3 for 4 base hits with the way that they swung that ruler. And I'm telling you, they were tough old broads there in those days.
But look how good you turned out.
That's because I went to public school.
oh, you avoided those nuns.
Yeah, I avoided them. Everybody else went but me.
So what about you? Think you can keep up with the talk when you're talking about world affairs?
You know what? No, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm finding out more and more about how Putin controls 34% of the energy that goes into European countries, and I'm learning more and more how the Europeans.
And that's why it's so, they're really
Yes.
walking on eggshells.
And I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew that Putin controlled tons of energy. I knew that because he's one of the main sources. But I didn't know how much he really controlled and still controls and is taking more control over that. And the Middle East thing, there's still things that I'm just I don't understand. So I'm going to have to say, if it's the simplistic things or if you explain to me what's going on, yes, sorta. But when it comes from 1 to 10, I'm going to give myself maybe a 7, 6.5.
Yeah, and I would say
I
more.
need to
I'm more
learn
of
more.
I think I know more than a lot of people do, but I still feel like I'm maybe a 5. I feel like
No.
there's so
Well,
many
I think
things
you know
that
what,
I'm unaware
No,
of
you know more than
in
that.
the world.
My opinion is that I don't believe everything that I hear on TV.
No.
Because everybody makes their own decision on their own beliefs.
It's so much of TV today is not journalism; it's more opinion.
Oh yeah, and they want to
And
see
so
the
it's like-
ratings go up.
Absolutely.
So they make it up, a little bit okay, let's throw an extra little word in there. It's going to go like people's going to go,
But
ah!
but do you think that Russia and China and North Korea are very three big main concerns for the security of the
I
United
have
States?
never in my life ever thought that we would be not number one in the United States.
Right.
You know, and that really bothers me. It really bothers me that we are not number one.
Right.
Our kids are not number one. It used to be there, you know, we
Oh,
were.
no, we have fallen
You know,
a lot in
I
education.
mean, there's so many things that we are behind. And when did that started happening? I think it was probably in the 80s that I remember that things started going down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not like highly educated in politics or anything that happens
No, but
around
you
the
know what's
world.
going on.
But, you know,
I think another
You're
place
generally
that
aware,
is obviously China, Russia, and North Korea are big threats, as well as the Middle East.
Yeah.
Let's not fool ourselves. A
Iran.
lot of things that are
who
coming
can
out.
understand everything?
That's what I'm saying.
Who can understand everything that happens around the world because politics are so confusing?
Yes.
You know,
I think
and-
actually, in a lot of ways, we're more aware today because of the internet.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank God.
Yeah, and because you can, if you hear, maybe you hear something on the morning news, at least, and then
All you have
what
to
I'll
do
do is
is-
I'll log on and I'll read a couple of
Right.
articles because
But
I
how-
didn't understand it
But
or I wanted to hear
how
more.
interesting to find out that the representative to the UN was one of the hostage
Oh my
takers.
gosh, that's scary.
I mean, now we're going to welcome him in the United States when he took those people hostage. Of course, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad he was behind a lot of that and things too. But like I say, I'm with you. I'm a 5 when it comes to world affairs. But I also think that we better continuously keep our eye on some of these South American countries and Cuba. I think that Cuba can be influenced by our main players, and they're sitting right off the coast.
They always have been in there. I mean, that's
Yep.
that's why there was potential
You bet.
danger all along.
We got to move on to our
another free for all.
right, and I think we were going to discuss about the fact, and the boys are here today, so we want to do this for them, talking about sports and how sports is changing and bringing in the PC thing. The NFL has brought down a rule that if you use certain words, and I know, and I've heard it myself, guys get on the field and they're throwing the N-word around and this and that, and whether it's to praise somebody or whatever, now they're going to start.
Yeah, because sometimes it's more a camaraderie. They say
Yes,
it that way, and other
yes.
times it's
Well-
they're agitating. They're
Yeah,
trying
well,
to agitate.
now they're going to start being fined on that because there's no excuse to call. We don't need that type of language. And whether these people like it or not, basketball, baseball, football, ice hockey, whatever, you are role models for certain children. Kids in the Olympics. I mean, look at how many kids, when Oscar Pistorius went out there and ran on 2 blades, and now look where he's at.
Yeah.
So whether you people like it or not, these people are role models, and I know that there are certain genres of music that it's acceptable to use the N-word, call women hoes, bitches, whatever, and this has got to stop.
Yeah,
It's uncalled for. Come on, it's just uncalled for.
Okay, then don't say it.
No, I'm throwing it out as an example.
ooh, she laid it
And
back
the
on
mother
you.
with the whip.
Yeah. But do you think that would you like your grandson and your granddaughters to listen to this? I've seen little kids
Well,
listening
because
to rap music and say off these words, not even knowing what they're doing.
It's because it's repetition, and it's the same thing with swear words. Growing up, we were not allowed to swear at all.
Oh,
In
no.
fact, even saying God was,
Oh yeah, my grandfather.
yeah,
I started
couldn't say
cussing when I came to the United States, and I learned.
Yes, and
from-
you do it very
But
well.
the problem
May I
is-
add?
And the problem is, it is you hear it and it you just repeat it. I remember when my boys were teenagers and they started using the F-bomb all the time, and that was not even in my vocabulary ever. And all of a sudden, I found it popping out of my own mouth, and it wasn't because I believed
Were
in it.
you at
but
a
it-
football game?
No, I wasn't. But I heard my kids saying it, and they wouldn't say it to me. It was like they knew they couldn't say it around my mom, but they'd talk with their
Yeah.
friends and
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Sure.
And of course you hear it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it popped out of my mouth. And I think that's part of what you're saying. It's in the songs, it's in the culture
And then
that
on the
way.
other
And
hand,
then you
isn't
see it
that bad?
at the football games.
You know,
and
it
things.
just depends who you're talking to. Depends on the
I-
friends that you have. There's certain friends that that's the way they speak, and you just sometimes it brings it out on you.
Yeah.
Like my mom used to say, though, she says, there are a lot of words in the English language. You don't need those because they don't really say anything. They're not really adding anything to the conversation
Isn't that
except your
something?
emotion.
Yeah.
That's really what they're
Yeah,
adding.
Let me
It's
tell
that-
you something. When you hurt yourself, there is nothing
Better.
better than a string of. I have got a what do you call it?
Repertoire.
A repertoire of words that would, and to put places and things and stuff that you would never.
I think there's
never,
cheering out there in the
Oh,
audience. They agree
it's-
with you.
It's like I'm a big cheerleader for dirty words when you get hurt or something. But I know that when you're talking to certain, I know how to act when I'm out in public or whatever.
I know you do. The thing though with swear
you,
words or
Roberta.
bad word,
Right.
like the N word.
No.
If it's in your vocabulary, if you hear
Oh,
it a
it's
lot,
gonna- it's gonna
it
come
can
out.
pop out
Do you know
at
the
an
thing to
unexpected
me,
moment. And I think that's the problem.
It
is
just
it's-
makes you look like not a lady when you say things
Exactly.
like that,
Yeah.
And I'm learning to behave with my language.
Are
on
you
what,
learning to behave like a lady?
like a lady now?
Well, I will tell you this, that I think that because we are more mature, I think that we know what we can and we cannot say.
My grandpa used to say, "You look so much beautiful when you don't say,
Bad words. Right.
When I was older, after I got married, because
Right.
that's when I learned to say bad words. And my grandpa came to live with us.
Marriage does that to you sometimes.
One time I took my shoe and I threw it at Jose's head and called him all kinds of names. And
But didn't you feel good?
my grandpa goes, "Don't you ever say that again in front of me." And I said, "Yes, Grandpa." I
No,
I
see,
was
I think
more
that
afraid of my
Yeah,
grandfather than
interesting.
anybody in the world. And
Well,
he never did anything to me except spank me one time. That's it, you
But
know.
he was your role model.
Yes,
He was-
yes,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
really was. And I just, I watch everything that I
So
say
we have
now.
to be ladylike and watch
Yes.
our language. And there's
Oh,
nothing wrong.
bull, I say. We're gonna take unfortunately a very, very short break. and-
Unfortunately?
Unfortunately. 'cause
Oh,
we are
no,
on
it's
a
good
roll
for
here.
our sponsors.
You betcha.
Yes.
But we're going to come back and hit you up with our hot topics, so please stay with us.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.
Welcome back to Just Between Us. And ladies, our hot topic today is going to have to do with the Supreme Court. They came down with a ruling on the financial contributions to candidates. At one time, it was $5,600 to one candidate only. Now you can do as many as you want. I say, why do you waste our time when we know big corporations have been giving millions to candidates under the table, as individuals have done under the table for many, many years? Why do you waste our time with something so frivolous? It's been going on.
Yeah, the point you make is it's been going on under the table. And, supposedly there's so much transparency, but there's not. There's always, and I hate to say it because it's a little cynical, but I think there's always going to be that level of under the table
Of course,
activity
of
that
course.
that happens.
That's the whole
it's
thing
part
about
of-
politics.
it's
Everything is under the
part
table.
of the
Politics is
human
dirty.
nature.
I don't know nothing.
Yes, you do.
You claim to know nothing. I think there's a big difference
Politics is dirty. Let's face it, and it's become
on all sides.
absolutely left, right, in between, the whole Marie there.
As my husband always says, follow the money.
Absolutely.
And that's unfortunately part of the reality. In essence, if I think about the ruling, on first blush, I'd say it's okay. You know, you want to support your person. You want to.
You have the right
You have
to
the
do
right
that.
to do
yeah.
Or two or
that.
three people.
Or
You
two
know,
or
you have
three
the right to
people.
do
And,
that.
and this says you can do as many as you want. So that, on one level, I see it's okay. What worries me, and it's sort of that, what you're alluding to, the underneath part, the stuff
Right.
that goes on under the table, is I hate the idea of foreign governments or foreigners who do not, who I feel should not have a contribution into the country on our politics.
It
It sounds like they can get in on this ruling, and that's the part that concerns me.
there's
Because they
anything-
have another political agenda, their own.
Of course, that's what I was going to say. Their political agenda is always money talks, and what did they
That
else?
other stuff.
Yeah, that walks.
Walks, yeah.
Yeah, those words we're not
Yeah.
supposed to say.
No, I didn't say it. You thought about it.
I did.
Oh, I knew it right away. And there is
But
number
anyway,
3 on the
you know,
on my list.
Anywhere in the world, this is happening. You know, everywhere.
Yeah.
It just is being proven that it's more corrupted here in the United States
Than we ever really-
than we
I think it's
ever-
because it's coming to the
it's
surface,
coming to
and,
the
and we have
surface.
people that expose this. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. It's been going on for decades and
You know,
decades and decades, and
money
it's not going to
rules.
stop.
Money rules.
Absolutely.
I mean, it might not make
Absolutely.
you happy, but money rules.
Big
you know.
banks, your auto industry, your unions, you name it. They have been doing this for years and years and years. Foreign identities have been doing it for years and years too. You can tell by the,
Through other, you know,
absolutely,
it's the
absolutely
follow the trail, the
And,
money
and
trail.
unfortunately, all this does is just says, okay, instead of one candidate, you can do as many as you want. It's like, oh, please stop.
And you know,
please.
they count on people not knowing anything, because a lot of people just put their
of
hand.
people don't.
You know, they just put their hand in the sand, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to know anything, because they don't want to fight back.
It's called
you know?
insulting your intelligence.
But then
that's what it's
some
called.
some people take a little grain of salt and they make it into a big mountain without any knowledge about talking about things that
Right.
don't make any sense, and that's what aggravates me. You
Right.
know, because they are talking about something that they don't understand, and they want to make it their politics. And
But don't
I
you
also-
find that we're putting Band-Aids on things that are just not as important, and we're not getting into the real issues today?
Well, I think that what happens is every time they try to, right now at least within politics, there's such a divide that it is so divided out
I
there
mean-
that they try, even if they try to discuss an issue where we should try to come
Right.
to a compromise,
It's not going to happen.
it doesn't happen. And so there's these two opposing sides and nothing happens in the
Look
middle.
at all the promises
And
that they
that's
make us.
the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
They-
they make promises, they don't do
promises,
anything.
you know,
Because you have
it's
to,
like-
supposedly, you have to have both sides
Well,
of Congress to be able to make it
absolutely.
happen.
And then look
it-
at locally,
it won't.
Yee was for gun control and all of this, and look what he was trying to do, so.
Well, yeah, and that's,
Who
so
do
how
you
scary
trust
is
now?
that, you know?
Who can you trust anymore? You know, any politic that I see, I don't know if I can trust them.
I
That's
think
horrible.
that, I
That's
think
the
that,
part
the
that's
one thing I
shifted
have to
for
say
us, huh?
here.
You know,
That's
that's,
the-
the part that really hurts me.
Right.
Not being able to trust somebody.
Right.
You know.
now
I think
if
that locally, so far, we've always had good people in office. I try not to get into the local scene too much because I don't like, I don't like, I know, you know, people, and you don't want to get into that. You go
I
to-
did it once, and I'm not sorry
got-
that I did it.
no.
But it just gets so dirty.
It
you know,
comes back and it
just
bites
like,
you. We're going to take a short break and
no,
wrap it up for you.
nothing bites me.
Yeah, I know.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.
If you want to get a hold of us, we're at 223-4877, or you can fax us at 223-4866, or you can email us at bookme@tspntv.com. So there.
Well, what a great day we've had.
Yeah, it went by fast.
It always
sure
does.
did. I'm never going to tell where the bodies are.
No, absolutely
You already
not.
did, in her backyard.
Yeah, yeah, you snitched me off. You snitched me off there. Well, I can tell you this, girls. We had a lot of good topics today, and I think that as time progresses, we're going to see more and more the political wheels start turning. I think that we're going
As
to
we get closer to the elections, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Well, not only locally, but I'm talking about. I think it's going to be very interesting with the elections coming up.
Absolutely.
In the different states and see what happens there, and then of course everybody's gearing up already for 2016.
2016.
So I think that that's going to be interesting too. I always said that this last election was going to be one of the most interesting elections we've ever had, but I don't know. I think
I think this one-
2016. I think we're going to see.
It seems like people are talking more.
Yeah, and I think people are people that had certain convictions in the last 8, 10, 20 years. You see them change their views on things, and they're beginning to listen more. And I think that that's really important, to listen to both sides more.
I think both sides have to listen.
Changing the topic.
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
anybody hear about an earthquake yesterday?
Here?
Somewhere here, because my daughter woke me up at
No,
2:45.
they've been all over the coast.
Yeah.
And she said,
I mean,
Mom, did you feel the earthquake? I said, what earthquake? And I said, you woke me up. There's an earthquake.
I didn't hear
So,
about it.
and I put it on Facebook this morning, but I haven't checked. But
Yeah.
was there
No,
an
I
earthquake?
didn't.
No?
There could
Yeah.
have been, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
No, I
Me
didn't.
either. Well, they said that somebody said that they
I
felt
thought
it
it was
in
just a
Ione.
good dream.
Yeah.
felt that earth move.
High five, girl. My kind of friend.
You betcha. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Besitos.
Besitos is right.